All right, it is now 7:30. I call to order the Webster Town Board meeting of March 19th, 2026. If you would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Marr, would you like to do roll call?
Supervisor Shell.
Here.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye. Here.
Councilman
Aye.
Brennan.
Here.
Here.
I'm already moving ahead. Here we go.
It counts. Here.
Attorney for the town Taylor.
Here.
Wowee.
All right, first up, we have a public hearing, just to refresh our memory on the flood damage prevention ordinance. Josh, would you like to just walk us through a quick high-level overview?
Sure. We have a property owner in town that has applied to FEMA for an official map amendment. They performed a hydraulic analysis and were able to prove that the official floodplain maps for this particular area in town, which is adjacent to the movie theater, bowling alley, and the area on the south side of Empire Boulevard, also including some properties within the town of Penfield. So we are, the local municipalities are responsible for administering the FEMA floodplain regulations, and this, therefore, now that FEMA has approved this change, we need to amend our town code to reflect the letter of map revision.
All right, so with that, we will open the public hearing. I know no one has signed in for it, but this is the public hearing, so anyone who wishes to speak, please approach the podium.
Nope.
All right, so we will close the public hearing on the proposed amendment to the town's flood damage prevention ordinance. We're going to begin the open to the floor. Before that, I do have an announcement about the Montante project. After lots of back and forth and talking with them, there has been an amendment to the site plan. There will be nothing on top of the landfill at this point. They have scaled back, so there will be nothing on the cap, nothing on the landfill. No panels, no inverters, but I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. They will be submitting a new site plan to the board, and we look forward to viewing that and sending them back to the planning board for a subsequent approval. With that, it is now time for the open to the floor. Rules of conduct, you are speaking before the board. Please speak to the board, not to the audience. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes to keep the meeting progressing forward. At 4 minutes, you will see me wave my hand as kind of a wrap up, and then we will begin the next speaker at 5 minutes. Questions will not be answered. If you want your question answered, please provide your email address to the town clerk or on the sign-in sheet, which many of you did already. Please respect the speaker. They may not say something you agree with, but they have every right to say it. And threatening statements will not be tolerated and may involve you being removed from this meeting. With that, up first is Bob Feeney.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'm Bob Feeney, 1620 Schlegel Road, 40-year member of Webster, living the retirement dream after 20 years as a controller, 20 years as IT project management, and 3 years as an insurance agent working for my nieces who are fourth generation owners of the Foley Agency in the village. When I read the notice about, I'm talking about the solar panels. When I read the notice about the solar panels, my controller voice in my head, and yes, I hear voices, started asking me, what's the return on investment on this project? Will the energy savings of the project recoup the clearing costs of the site, the costs of purchasing, installing, and maintaining the panels, and whatever support machinery they have? And when will we start generating real financial benefits? The project management voice in my head was asking me, will we meet desired benefits? Not only for the solar project, but that of the town's green space initiatives. For the project, for sure, the energy savings will go to the occupants of the Xerox sites. And in the short term, it's my understanding that any excess energy generated will go to low-income residents who struggle with their utility bills. But what about the long term? Residents may see their excess benefits evaporate as the occupancy of that Xerox site and their associated needs grow. And then certainly the benefits of the green space itself will be lost forever. The homes of the coyotes that we hear at night will lost forever. Homes of the birds whose song we hear at dawn, lost forever. And the homes of the frogs and the toads and the crickets we hear in the evening, lost forever. My insurance agent voice is asking me what's going to be done to address the environmental risk of developing that site. The proposed development will expose the contents of the landfill that's buried within it, which will probably require, I suspect, substantial and costly remediation. So my questions to the board, have people who were involved in reviewing this project considered my voice's questions? Were alternative plans presented, developing existing open space that would be less invasive and less costly? Was there a consideration not to go forward at all because the cost and the risk outweigh the benefits? As you spend the next few days deciding on whether to move forward with this project, please consider your responsibility to seek, request, and demand all the information necessary to do a proper and appropriate due diligence needed to make an informed decision. One of my driving lessons to my 4 children was, just because you have the right of way doesn't mean you should take it. Doing so may cause an accident, and the primary responsibility of the driver is to protect life and property. Please consider, just because you have the money or given the money for this project doesn't mean you should spend it. Doing so may be wasteful, and your primary responsibility, fiduciary and fiscal responsibility, is to spend the taxpayers' money appropriately. Consider your campaign promises to preserve, protect, and grow our town's green space. Consider the town residents who voted based on those campaign promises. And then lastly, for the 20 acres themselves, I'm embarrassed to, who are most impacted by the decision, I'm embarrassed to steal songs from John Denver, a known environmentalist, and ask you to please consider the wind, the water, and the wood, and those who live there too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, Dave Malecki.
Hello, I'm Dave Malecki, live in West Webster, have lived there for quite a while. Bridget, I first heard that phrase in the 80s after the bridge across Rondequoit Creek on Lake Road was suddenly destroyed. In 1998, the existing seasonally operated IBOB, Rondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge, began working each April Fool's Day. It goes away. Or thereabouts, stops working. I'm here to ask everyone whether they're willing to put a better bridge there, one that works 24/7, 365. I say bridge it 24/7, 365. Any questions? My suggestion is to raise the existing bridge up as high as necessary and leave it there. You don't have to turn it. Read the 2018 study, please. Your silence probably means that you aren't planning on helping.
Thank you, Dave. Up next is Jason Belush.
How are you? My name is Jason Bellish. I'm from 1488 Grand Meadows Way. I'd like to address the board on the subject matter of the Montante Xerox Aberration Solar Farm, Solar Garden, whatever else you want to call it, which is just a horrific proposal. You know, the one thing that's really good about having gray hair is you can say stuff like, we have seen this before, right? The lease is for 25 years. Guess what happened 25 years ago? It was the first Xerox turnaround plan. Do you know how many more there have been? 3. How's the turnaround going? What do you do when you can't turn around anymore? You go right off a cliff. So the promises that were made in 2001 during the first turnaround, have they been realized for the Webstertown community? The people who come to you from Montante and the lanyard-wearing Xerox project manager, what is he being told to do? He's being told to go out there and make sure that Xerox looks good to who? The money men, the money lenders. What does Xerox need more than anything else right now? Money. What does an environmental, a social, and a green governance mean for a company like Xerox, who really just needs money? Because they've lost billions since the first turnaround, 3 turnarounds ago. Then come into Montante. Now there's the real scam artist. Montante makes money going out and finding companies that are in disarray, in some cases dinosaurs like Xerox. They're on their way out. Montante says, oh, access to infrastructure, ease land that's not being used, right? Let's go and approach them to save them some energy usage. What does Xerox do? Xerox says, wow, that's great. I want to be part of the green initiative because it makes the money men happy. I want to make sure when I spend the next hundreds of millions of dollars on the next failed turnaround plan that I can go back to some other moneymaker, some other money lender. I want them to see that I am green, that I am thinking about the future, right? Montante comes in, they make all the money on the tax credits. They get 30% of the whole development project. They get the credits. Xerox gets a reduction in energy because right now the CEO of Xerox is like, geez, in order to get my golden parachute, I gotta get some profit out of this company. I gotta look good. I gotta get out of here before this whole thing goes off the cliff because the turnaround didn't work, right? So now we think about what's gonna happen 25 years hence. By the way, I heard a gentleman talk about low and middle income and about how that money, the solar credits are going to be given out. Do you know what community solar is? Community solar is nothing more than an army of door-to-door knockers coming into the communities of Webster and saying, sign up for community solar. You'll get 10% off your electric bill. Is that what we want around here? We want a bunch of people soliciting? It's not necessarily for low and middle income. I know how community solar works. Don't let that scam fool you. That is just a way of them making money. It's a subscription plan. It's no different than HBO, right? That's what community solar is to Montante. I was thinking about this in terms of what is 25 years hence going to be? Right now, if you take what Xerox has done, they've lost 90% of the jobs in Webster. Their stock price is down 95%. If somebody came to you and said, I want to put a bus-sized generator on my property. I want to stop, I am not going to be boarded up and ugly looking anymore. I've been a terrible neighbor. I've divorced my wife. My kids have left me. My place is all boarded up. Would you let them do that? No. We caught them. You caught them. Let's not be looking back here 25 years hence going, wow, this was a mistake. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Dave Pena's up next. Dave Pena? Sorry if I am mispronouncing that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Penna, and I reside on Quail Creek Trail. We must not overlook the fact that this proposed project will definitely destroy both wildlife and the habitat, the forested area that supports this wildlife. My request to the town board members is that you please have the good common sense and the confidence to vote this proposal down if in fact it's presented. I would hope that your loyalties would be to the residents of Webster, your constituents, and your voters, rather than to any corporation that may be here because they may be making a profit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Michael Byrne.
My name is Mike Byrne, and I live at 1496 Grand Meadows Way, Webster, and I'm probably one of the three people that was closest to the hazardous landfill, so I'm thankful that that's out of this deal. I'm also sad that it took so much effort by so many people to convince Xerox and Montante that that was a foolish idea. Not only foolish, but perhaps dangerous. And so finally somebody came to their mind. They probably sat in a meeting like this gentleman talks about, looked at each other and said, holy crap, we really screwed up. Let's pull this out and then see if we can slide the rest of this through. So anyways, I did have a nice, calm, focused talk, which now I'm punting, so I apologize in advance. But, you know, who exactly will benefit from this? It's not going to be me. Because I don't qualify under the NYSERDA because of my income. Believe it or not, my Social Security and pension is too much. So I can't qualify for the breaks that they're talking about. And not only that, but they never actually tell you what the number is of the people have to make in a year in order to qualify, and then how much they'll actually get off their electric bill. That would be interesting to hear. I'm concerned about the loss of 17 acres of trees. You know, I just had 5 deer recently walking through my yard, which, you know, kind of, I call it suburban. It's rural suburban, is kind of what my backyard is like. I kind of like it. That's why I bought that house. So my hope is that when you guys, I'm getting a little nervous here, when you guys get this coming through again, I mean, we're all coming back, and we'll be at every meeting, and so I hope that you vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mark Williams.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oops. They have 1,000 today.
Thank you.
My name's Mark Williams. I live at 1448 Quail Creek Trail. And I am happy to hear the announcement tonight about not putting panels on the cap, but I've still got a point to prove with what I handed out about the cap. What you've got there is a cross-section of the cap as built. I obtained this from Kevin, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's the project manager for the DEC, and he's in Albany, and he works for Lynn Winterberger, and he's been helping me with stuff. So he got me a drawing, and I kind of just blew it up to make it easier to read. But there were a couple people at the last board meeting who made statements about this cap. And they said, the Xerox engineer, he said that there were multiple impermeable layers under the asphalt. Those were pretty much his exact words. And then there was a planning board member who also spoke about the cap and said that there was an impenetrable membrane under the cap. And I just want to prove the point that both of them were wrong. What you're looking at is the cross-section. There's 2 layers of asphalt, there's stone subbase, and then there is geotextile non-woven fabric, and I just stapled an example of geotextile non-woven fabric so you can see what it was. Water goes right through this stuff. It was used between the soil and the stone base just to keep the soil from migrating into the stone base. That's all it was used for. There are no impermeable, that was the word the Xerox engineer used. There's no layers like that. Clay is low permeable, but it's still, water can go through it. So anyway, I want to point out that there's good reason for skepticism, because I've seen things on their slides that are, the Montante slides, they're just plain inaccurate. I've sent letters about that. And by the way, everything I talk about, I've got documentation that I'd be more than happy, I've been getting it from this Kevin, I can't pronounce his name, but in Albany. So I've got all the right documentation, and I am ready, more than willing to provide it if needed. But this just helps prove why I'm skeptical, and I'm hoping everybody's skeptical. Then the Xerox engineer talked about water testing every month, and that sounded like a big deal. But what he was talking about was just testing the groundwater that they're pumping out of the trench next to the landfill. All that is contaminated groundwater. The fact they're testing it to make sure it's not overly contaminated and that the Webster Public Waste Treatment Plant can handle it. But that's basically what that's all about. But it was, the way he said it, it was made to sound, at least to me, like, oh, this is, something important, and we're monitoring, and ground plumes and all this kind of stuff. It's got nothing to do with, the testing Xerox does has nothing to do with monitoring for contaminated ground plume moving forward towards the subdivision. And then there was a statement, a Montane slide, it had a statement, line of compliance wells serve as an early warning of a potential issue. That's just plain wrong. The wells that she called, and this was the Haley and Aldrich spokeswoman got up and spoke, and the wells she was pointing to they are line of compliance, but they're not the early warning wells. The line of compliance are out near the property line. The early warning wells are in between those line of compliance wells and the source of contamination, in this example, the landfill. So what are the early warning wells are the trigger wells. And one of them actually went from non-detect since 2011 to detect in 2023, and she had that up on her picture, except she ignored it completely. She says, oh, these wells on the outer area, they're all non-detect the last 10 years. There's one right in the middle, it's well B13, and it's showing a detection, and she skipped right over it. So I'm very skeptical of everything that Xerox says, that Haley and Aldrich says, and that Montante says.
All right, Mark,
And-
their 5 minutes is up, though.
That's up. Okay, well, that's good. I'm done. But please do not approve this project, and now hopefully you understand my skepticism.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. All right, up next is Ken Canis.
Good evening. My name is Ken Canis. My address is 606 Pine Lakes Trail. Over the last few months, people have spoken here, sent emails, perhaps made phone calls, and maybe even had one-on-one conversations regarding their opposition to the proposed solar farm on Xerox property. The companies involved in the project, Xerox, Montanti, and Haley Aldrich, have had meetings and workshops to sell their idea to the town and to the general public. They want us to believe that there will be no negative impacts to the surrounding area. Some individuals have done some extensive research on the information presented at these meetings and found some of it to be either not entirely truthful, misleading, or omitting some of the facts. This is especially true regarding the test wells, testing being performed, and the containment of the toxins. And this type of sales tactic is done for one reason. They have something to hide. Their plan is to minimize public opposition to the project so the resolution will easily pass. Last fall, current members of our town board that were seeking elected positions were out campaigning. During the campaign, some have stated they were in opposition to the solar project. When the vote occurs, the opportunity will come to show whether their words were said just for election purposes or that they have the integrity to act as the public servant that people who voted for them should expect and stand by the words that were stated while campaigning. My hope is that when voting on the solar farm project, our elected officials will defy the ever-increasing national trend of elected officials acting as politicians and will instead act as the public servants that we should expect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, last on the sign-in sheet, Sean Hanna.
Good evening. Thank you very much for listening in advance. I'm very pleased by the supervisor's announcement that there has been an amendment to the plan so that solar panels will not be placed on the asphalt surface. But I have to admit I'm a little bit confused because all along, Montante has been swearing up and down that that was not possible, that asphalt surface was one of the keys to this entire project. Well, I guess some people say things that just should not be believed, and we'll talk more about that later. But for now, I want to say that there's a school of thought that provides that when an application checks all of the boxes before the planning board, that the project ought to be approved. 99% of the time, I agree with that. In fact, 99% of the time, those applications don't appear before the town board because the project doesn't require it. This is different. This is before you because it is different. We're not talking about somebody who wants to build a shed in their backyard. And we're not talking about a farmer's daughter who wants to build a house on the back 40 acres of the farm. We're talking about a Connecticut corporation that deliberately contaminated a large portion of pristine land. And deliberately is the operative word here. We're not talking about a train wreck that happened accidentally or a burst pipe. What they did is they went and they took hazardous waste and they dumped it on pristine land. And then they went out to other companies and said, give me money and we'll allow your hazardous waste to be dumped on our pristine land. Against that backdrop, do you think that I have any problems with putting reasonable regulations on what they can do with their property? Not a chance. And you shouldn't either. So you guys have a choice to make. You have a choice to make between Xerox Corporation and the neighbors who are sitting here in this room. A choice between corporate polluters and innocent people who just bought their homes not knowing that they were next to a hazardous waste site because the town doesn't talk about it and certainly Xerox doesn't. And that's really what elected office is all about. It's all about choices. The petitions that we're doing now, the door-to-door, the rubber chicken dinner circuit, all of those are prices that you pay to put yourself in a position where you can do what's best for the town of Webster, what you can do what's best for your constituents. So you have a choice to make between Xerox and the neighbors, between corporate polluters and innocent parties. And for some of you, you have a choice between whether you're going to honor your word or not. This is a big opportunity for you. It's a big opportunity to do what you're put in office to do what you worked so hard to put yourselves in a position to do. So don't blow it. Do what's right for Webster. Put the corporate welfare aside. Tell the folks in Albany and Washington and the county office building that the people of Webster come before political agendas and a green energy cult. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. All right, that was the last person on the sign-in sheet, but we would like to offer it up if anyone else wants to get up.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to make a statement on behalf of the residents that have been coming up and speaking to this topic for quite some time. There's one thing I've learned sitting on this board, representing the people of Webster. When they're passionate about something, they come. But before they get here, they do their research. And I'm pretty sure we've all, over the preceding weeks and months, heard from these residents and the factual evidence that they have submitted. And in doing so, you have allowed us to make an educated decision, whether it be pro or against this project. And I'm just saying thank you to all of you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I will close the open to the floor. We are now moving on to regular town business. I have reviewed the minutes that were put together for the March 5th, 2026 workshop, and I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I have also reviewed the minutes for the town board meeting of March 5th, 2026, and would make a motion that we approve them as well.
Second.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right, Nick, how are you?
I reviewed the bills and found them to be in order, and I'll make a motion to consider to approve the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
I would like to make a motion to approve prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
I would like to make a motion to approve our purchase orders as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
All right, so I will make a motion that we amend local law number 1 of 2024 flood damage ordinance to reflect the recent letter of map amendment affecting certain map panels.
Second.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right, it's got to be one of you guys for the Stormwater Coalition.
Well, and we all heard during the workshop today about the intermunicipal agreement that we enter into with Monroe County and a bunch of surrounding municipalities. Great thing to be a part of. So I move to authorize the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County Stormwater Coalition regarding cooperation to reduce stormwater pollution and protect water quality in Monroe County, New York, for a 5-year term with a not-to-exceed amount of $11,348.75, to be
Second.
exact, per year.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right, so the next one I'm going to introduce, we're looking forward to the comprehensive plan update, so I just want to introduce, the idea of this moratorium that we've thrown around and discussed. We're looking into this, we're making sure that, we want to see what Webster is going to be in the future so that we're not in a spot where we look back and we went, oh no. as we update this comprehensive plan. So I am very proud to make a motion that we set a public hearing for Thursday, April 2nd, in 2026 at 7:30 PM on a proposed development moratorium in the town of Webster to be advertised in the Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 edition of the Webster Herald.
I second.
Supervisor Shaldon,
Aye.
Councilman Hunter,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Supervisor, on the last resolution, if I may, I just think it's worth noting that the full text of the proposed law will be available on the website for citizens to review.
Absolutely. It should be up on that moratorium, townofwesternnewyork.gov/moratorium. Yes. Jen?
So the next motion is a procedural requirement as it relates to the renewable natural gas proposed project at the wastewater treatment plant. And it is for seeker and for the town to act as lead agency on this project. And I will make the motion declaring the intent of the town of Webster to act as, do I need to say something else?
Yeah, it would just, the first motion would be to classify as a type 1 action, and then subsequently to have the town board designated the lead agency.
Okay.
You can combine them together, but the motion would be for this project to classify as a type 1.
Okay, make a motion to classify this project as a type 1 action as defined by the State Environmental Quality Review Act in 6 NYCRR Part 617.4, and that the intent of the town of Webster is to assume the role of lead agency for purposes of conducting the seeker assessment for this project. And what I will say about this motion is, like, as I mentioned before, this is it's a procedural requirement to move forward with this project. And I will say that it doesn't necessarily mean that I am in support of this project, but I am in support of this project moving forward. And I am in support of understanding the additional costs that we are not aware of yet as it relates to RG&E and the connection fees and other things that are integral to this project. So I wanted to qualify that the seeker motion is to move it forward, and I am in forward of continuing to make forward progress on this project, but it's extraordinarily important that we understand the full extent of the cost and the extent of the tax credits, I guess they're credits.
Or the potential thereof.
And the potential thereof for that as we continue to move forward with this project. So that is my
I will second that very, very well thought out idea.
So I'm going to chime in here because while it may be procedural, I actually read all these pages, and I have maybe a question or two, and then I've got also a concerning statement I want to make. But if you go to page 3 of 13, and Josh, if you can help me with this, it'd be great. Under D1, Section D, there's a subdivision, so it says, no, there's no subdivision in that area. And then if you go to Section G, I found this to be quite interesting. Does the proposed action include new residential construction? Well, and they said yes. Now, my question is, are they referring to the RG&E hookup buildings? I'm confused.
John, are you looking at Section G?
Yeah,
It's a non-residential construction.
okay,
And I think that refers to the,
the 4 buildings. Well, guess what? Guess who didn't know about the 4 buildings before I found this? From Navitas. I didn't, did anybody on this board know that we were gonna put 4 buildings up for the connection? I thought it was just 1. And to your point, Jennifer, this is the sort of thing that's been consistent with the build-out. We find out information after the fact rather than before the fact. And I'm just concerned about that. And then it says, if you go down to D2, Project operations. Does the proposed action include any excavation? How are you going to put 4 buildings up with no excavation is my question. Can you help me with that, Josh?
I would struggle to explain how that could take place.
Well, exactly, and this is inherent with a lot of information that has come through on this project over the years, which is why I am adamantly against this RNG project, not only because of these problems and the history of problems, but this is an optional project, estimated at 6 to 8 million, and we still don't have numbers of what this connection and the buildings are going to cost us.
So John, you're right in that this is an optional project, but it's also a project that has a lot of potential to bring us revenue.
It's
But-
not
but also
guaranteed, and
very
I don't appreciate you
important-
interrupting me when I'm talking.
It's very
Okay,
important.
I don't do it to you.
I apologize for that. I just want to make sure that we clear the basis, because I will say this documentation was sent out to us, I believe, a week ago. And none of these questions have come up, so it's hard in a public forum, because I think it puts the residents on the backside. This is a procedural aspect, as Councilwoman Wright said. We're in the fact-finding aspect. We are not approving of this project. We're trying to understand if it is going to be worthwhile for the residents. So I do understand that you have opposition to this, and that's been made clear. But I think for sake of where we're moving right now in the fact-finding mission, I think it's worthwhile moving forward with the motion.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you with respect to bringing this up in a public meeting, because these are residents that pay taxes in the town of Webster, and in my opinion, they have every right to know what our concerns are.
You're absolutely right.
If you, please don't interrupt me. If you elect not to have those discussions or to bring it to the attention of the residents, that's up to you. I have the exact opposite philosophy, that not only should the residents know as much about this project, what we should know as board members making decisions, but we should have this information on a timely basis. There's information that is coming to this board that, in my opinion, should have come to this board a long time ago, because it's important information so that we can research and we can ask questions. And we're going down the road, we're finding out, in my opinion, we're finding out information that we should have known months ago. So, thank you. Sorry about that, Alex.
No, you're fine. These are the types of things that we do need to discuss, but, you know, this is, thankfully, we're not agreeing to spend any money at this point. Or further money.
And that's the point. John, I apologize, because it's not my point to try to interrupt you. I just think we're at a point where we recognize the opposition. It is absolutely important that the residents understand. But there's also a factor that I think gets lost, in that we, as the board, largely rely on our department and our department heads, who are the experts in these fields, and they provide this information and provide us with the direction. So from my standpoint, going into the specific seeker contract is not my expertise. So I am going to look to the experts to point me in the right direction, and recognizing that we're in a fact-finding mission right now, and that we're gathering all of this so that we can make the right decision down the line. I just think it's worthwhile to have some of these conversations in a different forum. So I apologize for any confusion.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on
Okay,
that.
well, that's fair.
Okay.
All right, well, the motion has been made, so Ms. Marr, would you like to, unless, Jen, do you have anything you want to add? No?
Not at
Okay.
this point.
Would you like to continue with the vote?
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Supervisor Shell.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Nay.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right.
That was fun.
Next one is, well, here we are at the sewer again. Now, Kyle, you wanted to give it,
Yes, I reviewed the Barton Luju's contract for the preparation of the bid packet relative to the paving at the wastewater treatment plant. And I'm satisfied with the contract.
okay. Rick, this is, or John, this is your department?
No, I'm good.
All right. Jen?
Oh, I'm all set, yeah.
I can't make a motion for myself to sign an
Yes.
agreement.
I'll make the motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign an agreement with Barton and Logadice. Judas to prepare the bid packet to solicit bids for the paving needed in connection with the wastewater treatment Phase 2 project at a cost of $49,500.
Second.
Councilman Hunter,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Shaldon,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
All right, up next, now, this is one that has actually, as I learned today, has never actually come before the town board because these would just get signed off in the summer. They are budgeted for in Josh and Keith's budget, but before we authorize this, summer intern positions and make a vote, Josh, do you have anything you want to say about this?
Sure. As most of you know, this will be the 5th year of the program to bring in approximately 2 to 3 summer interns. They've done a tremendous amount of work. We've really been lucky to get a good crop of candidates each year, and we're looking to replicate that for this upcoming year. As Alex mentioned, we did include funding in the budget, but neglected to add the temporary intern title to the authorized position list. So that's what tonight's resolution is about.
Does anybody?
How many years have we brought interns in?
I believe the first year was in 2021.
Yeah. 'Cause I always thought they came for the board. Was it just a talking topic or?
Yeah, typically at the end of each summer, we would have them present to the town board.
No, before they come, I mean.
No.
Okay.
No, we have not.
But they've been instrumental in helping your department, I know that.
They have definitely helped us catch up on a lot of
Yeah.
activities, for sure.
Yep.
Very valuable.
Nick? Jen?
No, I think it's a great program. I believe
Sure
you've
is.
hired a few people, too, from the program.
Yes, over the years, we have retained some of the interns that have stayed on for part-time work and in some cases, full-time.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we add 2 part-time summer intern positions to the 2026 list of authorized positions.
Second.
Supervisor Shaldon,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right, we are now coming back to the ones that were rescheduled for a couple weeks ago. We have the authorizing the AI policy submitted into the employee handbook. For those of you who need a refresher, it is basically states that no AI is to be used unless it is approved by your department head, who will then go to IT to vet it for security concerns, after which then it gets approval and still needs to be checked by a human. We did run it through our insurance carrier. There is nothing that violates any of the cybersecurity insurance that we have. We added that in there that that we comply with the SHIELD Act of New York State. But if you have any other questions from the board, Kelsey is here to answer them. So, Nick? John?
Nope.
Jen? All right, then I make a motion that we add the Town of Webster Employee Handbook under Operational Policy Section number 524, Artificial Intelligence, as submitted by the Director of Human Resources.
Second.
Supervisor Shaldon,
Aye.
Councilman Hunter,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
I'll move to authorize the town supervisor to sign a purchase of service agreement with Lifespan of Greater Rochester to provide elder source care management services at the cost of $3,380 for 2026.
Second.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilman Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Shaldon,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye, and I just want to add that this is an important service to seniors that, that they're able to engage with Lifespan at the Parks and Recreation Department. And I believe last year, Chris is here, but the number of seniors who benefited from the services was well over 400. So it's something that is great for the community, and our Parks and Recreations Department does a ton to support seniors in our community, and I think this is just one of those many great services.
Awesome. All right, last thing.
So I'm going to move to approve the items on the asset forms for recycling from the sewer department.
I
Wow,
will,
Rick, that's quite a list.
I will second unless John wants to read them all.
No, thank you. They are available for copies, though.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Hunter.
Aye.
All right, so we have our round table from our board members here to discuss items going on within their departments, their liaisons too, or just stuff going on around the town. But Jen, would you like to kick us off?
I sure would. I have a very, in the words of Tom Flaherty, robust list to go through. I couldn't resist. In the highway department, the leaf compost and wood chip delivery will start in early April. That is a great service. You can just call the town and order wood chips or mulch, so you don't have to go pick it up yourself, and they will deliver it in a 10-wheel truck for $50. That's a heck of a lot of mulch for $50. And that starts in early April, and in late April, it will be available in certain places around town to pick up yourself. The snow plow damage is going to be, they're going to start working on the repairs over the next couple of weeks. They certainly don't intend to destroy people's frontages or mailboxes, but sometimes they are unintended casualties of the snow we receive here, and the highway department will be making those repairs, and the salt barn will be starting soon. For the assessment department, there will be a revaluation meeting in this boardroom on March 26th. And on March 26th, the assessing department will be exactly halfway through that project on that very day. So if you are interested in understanding or learning more about that reval project, that would be a good time to come. It's between 6 and 8 p.m. And for the Parks Department, Mike Herbst has joined as the new Parks Director. He's been there for 3 weeks, and he's doing a great job, and we're happy to have him here. The restrooms and outdoor spaces will be opening soon, which is very exciting. It doesn't feel like spring is right around the corner just yet, but knock on wood, it is. And we were talking about senior services, and over 55 people attended the St. Patrick's Lunch. So the Parks and Recreation Department does do regular senior luncheons, and it's a great opportunity to connect with seniors in the community.
Nice. I would like to announce that we have a partnership with Monroe County. Earlier this month, new ABOD guidelines went into effect for EBT and SNAP benefit receivers. There are new guidelines to take in place to receive your SNAP benefits or able-bodied of where to find work, volunteer hours, because the goal of this is to get people back to work, get people back moving and not lose their benefits. The town and county will be partnering for this alongside the Webster Central School District, and will be advertised with the Chamber of Commerce. Will take place on March 28th at the Rec Center from 2 to 4 p.m. That is it for me.
Well, I think we've talked about my projects this evening, had a robust conversation. You know, I have my opinions, but I base my opinions upon research that I do. And some of the research I do is based on information that I get from my department heads. But I don't rely 100% on my department heads. I like to take additional steps to get additional information. So that's just what I do. But I, along with everybody else, I'm sure we want to make the most educated decision we can make. Because at the end of the day, whether it's going forward with a project, we need to take into consideration, in my opinion, the debt load that the town of Webster taxpayers are carrying right now. And it is significant. And if we have a project that's optional versus one or two that aren't, you know the direction I'm going. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
John, I always appreciate your opinion, and we certainly can have disagreements, and we will.
We
So I just
absolutely
look
will.
forward to working
Yep.
with you.
Same here.
I'll just give a quick update with regards to the communications department. Just a quick reminder, March 30th, the survey is going to go out to folks just to get some feedback on how you like to hear from the town, whether it be social media, how you obtain information, just so we can help fill in that blanks. please send me an email, reach out if you have any further questions, but thank you.
All right, if no one else has any business to bring before the board,
Well, what about the roundtable for Paul and Josh?
our department
And
heads
Maria.
have expressed they don't wish to do the roundtable as much. as
Oh,
we
I'm
have.
Come on,
sorry.
Josh. Don't be shy.
We don't get to do the roundtable.
Do you want to do the roundtable?
I could say a few things.
I would love to hear from
Good
you.
boy.
I've been busy working on the town's annual report, which is a requirement that New York State has in place. It's about a 150-page report. I've got the first draft done. Our auditors just wrapped up, so I don't think they came up with too many material adjustments, so the numbers should be pretty close to good at this point.
Fantastic work.
It's good news.
All right. Since Josh, you're there, do you want to say anything? I mean, you've spoken multiple times tonight about upcoming projects in yours anyway, so.
I'll just mention that we reached a milestone with the Fairlife project a couple weeks ago. They were issued a temporary certificate of occupancy for a good portion of their facility, and we're currently working with them to get the remainder of the facility all ready to go for their production.
Yeah, your team's done a wonderful job. You really have. People don't really understand the lengths that your department has to go to with respect to inspections, holding Fairlife accountable, which they've been doing a fantastic job, leading them down the road, letting them know exactly what we need to help them to get the temporary certificate of occupancy. It's been arduous, and you're not only you, but your entire team has done a fantastic job. So thank you
Well,
for
thank
that.
you. I appreciate that.
All right, with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn so John can get his dinner.
Second, thanks.
Supervisor Sheldon.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.